All right, we are in the playoff tournament. We're in the qualification round. It's Monday. I was, yeah, It's already started off as one of those weeks. So here I am. I actually have some time. I could go out and qualify. So I'm gonna do a blind. Haven't looked at anything. I know we're playing at the Glen Monarch hole. So let's go look at Glen Monarch hole number one. Hole number one. Okay, this par three right here is absolutely a makeable hole in one, and there I suppose you could count it as four different ways, but this white line here, really there's a rough bump. And if I remember correctly, we were in the plus 10. I mean, that's a good place to start. The deal here is that it depends on which way the wind's blowing. So if we can zoom in a little bit closer. And with the sand right here, this is one of those sand traps where it's rough and then it drops into the sand and there's a pretty steep little hill and it'll distort your rings. And so you really don't want to have to pull into the sand. So if the wind's blowing, in one of these in this direction where you're having to, or in this direction you're having to pull that wind out, and you're having to make a movement over the sand, it can make that shot bad. There's two ways to take that rough bump, though. You can take it from up front and you can take it from further back. So you'll have to practice the shot a little bit, just depending on which way the wind's blowing. There is a bounce over shot. I've never really had a lot of success with this, but I see a lot of people make hole in one with this. There's also a shot that you can take from here where you can bring it around, and if I remember correctly, this takes backspin. And from pro, you're probably going to find yourself in some situations where you'll have to take this shot. So having that in your bag would probably help. Let's go out there and I'm just going to go play. We'll just play. We'll play Ricky. That's my option. Continue. And we're just going to go play hole number one. What kind of ball am I going to need there? I'm gonna probably use a nab. We'll see which way the wind's blowing. I know this is one of those spots where having low wind balls is very helpful. It seems to me that there was very little adjustment. But we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out the hard way. They have the holes out of order. So which hole are we on? This is another great hole right here, and this is an extra mile. And you can get on this hole and get up there in one. There's my red line. Got plenty of room to work the wind out. Three, one. Now I'm gonna have to go look at all of the holes. I'm just gonna play them blind. Screw it. What the heck? And that was 700 rings. Great to the right. And it'll clip the rough right there. You have a great shot into the cup. And if I remember correctly, it's like minus 10%. You need to take some wind off on that shot to the cup, and you can get deep into your short iron. I should have a pretty good shot with my Nirvana, though. Should be like in maybe quarter club. Oh, it's getting it done with the Nirvana. They'll hit nicely and roll forward. That's exactly what I wanted to be. That's a perfect spot. Nice shot. Nice shot. Crowd goes wild. Let's get in the hole. Let's see where we're at. That looks more like half. There's max. There's mid. So I'm about mid club. Should be about 4 per ring. We're taking a little bit off. Just a little. Oh, and I hit one ring great to the left. Just a bit outside. I think I still would have been on the left-hand side. And possibly just a little bit short. There's a little bit of a hill there, so if you hit to the right, if I'd hit the perfect, I think I would have. I think the distance would have been right. Much better to come out with a Hornet with about one backspin. What the hell was that? There you go. They should be. I moved to about 3.5 rings. Hitting it perfect. Getting a hole. Oh. Close. No cigar. I was going to say, you could go back and watch how my opponent did it, and that's probably the way to do it. I think the only reason to bring out a power 3 ball is so that when you get down there into your short iron range, you're as deep as possible into your short iron range. See if my opponent can get in from there, or if we're going to win a chest. Into hole. All right, that was hole number 1. It's a draw. Let's just go play hole number 2. We'll just go play it. What does it look like? This one might be the par 3. We're just gonna play these on the fly. I've obviously played all of the Glen Monarch holes, but I don't remember hole numbers. It's kind of the same thing in real life. Okay, and I'm at mid club. It's 1.1 per ring, 10%, so it's just a 1.1. I'm going to do the 1 per ring. Hey. Be 4-6 at 1 per ring. Here's 4, 5, 6. Oh, and I hit it great to the left again. I was hoping if I switched and hit it from the other direction, I'd have a little bit better perfect distance. And I hit that great to the right, and it ended up on the left. I'll have to go back and watch that shot. See what I did, what I massively did wrong there. I know I pulled at max club. And it does seem like we were doing a wind adjustment there. Maybe it was at mid or minimum. See if my opponent can get in. Get in the hold. This is an older course, so I'm sure there's opportunities on, I know for a fact there's opportunities on a ton of these Glen Monarch holes. There's one of the par 5s, if I remember correctly, that I think that's in Glen Monarch that's very difficult. But you can, there is a way to get it, do a max overpower hook and get an eagle on it. It's one shot at a time, and I think it's all dependent on the drive. I kind of hope that hole is in Glen Monarch, because that is a fun hole to play. We will see. Good luck. You too, bro. Let's see what hole number 3 is. Hole number 3 is going to be some big par 5, so let's go check it out. Let's see if I recognize this hole. This hole right here is a definite Albie shot going in. If I remember correctly, there is a rough bump on this hole as well. And it seems like we're doing a wind adjustment on this hole. I'm going to pull out my trusty dusty calculator because this is going to be down into my Hornet. If this hole right here, this hole is a tough par 5. And the big ball is not necessarily for the drive. The big ball is for the second shot, and with a headwind, it is super tough. This hole is a tough hole. I'm gonna have to see which bag works better. I'm not sure. If you get into the right spot up there, you can make it with a power 3 ball. It's hard to get it up in that spot and get it to stick without rolling off. Nice shot. Crowd goes wild. El Perfecto. Three, 4. There's 2, 1. There's 3, 1. There's 3, 4. Hitting it perfect. And see if I can get that second bounce rough bump to bleed out right up there in the front. And that's about as good as I can get. Now, I should have switched to my number 4 bag because I think I have an extra mile and a Guardian. It's going to be pretty tough with the sniper. The second shot should be either with a big dog or a Guardian. Big dog gives you more options, so if you're in the wrong spot, a big dog gives you more options because it has some topspin and it's got some backspin. So if you're in the right spot, it'll work, and if you're a little short like my opponent and I are going to be. My opponent's a little short because they brought a 2-power ball, and this is the deal on here. The bigger ball is going to help you on the second shot. I might be in a little bit better spot because I brought a power 3 ball. I'm using the same club, and I think I'm a little closer. But a Guardian will work really well there because it hits 10 yards farther. And at that point, your top spin's not. You might actually be using a little bit of backspin. Okay, let's see if we can end up on the green. See if we're in a little better spot. Not much. About the same spot. And I'm moving over just a little because I'm more concerned about getting up there and picking it up than I am trying to sink that. I'm not in the best spot in the world. So I'm trying to give myself a little bit. If I do hit a grate to the left or the right, I might miss that sand. Hitting it perfect. Just try and bleed up there and get on the fairway. Pretty narrow window. There's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to get the eagle on this. So just coming up here, you can give yourself at least a look at Albie. I brought the wrong club. I think for most of its life, the Big Dog's probably going to be a better choice than the Guardian here. But a Guardian will work, especially when it gets upward developed and it gets a little more ball guide. In the hole. All right, getting the eagle. There's a par 5. I'm really hoping it's in here because it's a par 5 that's super hard to get, or another par 4 that's super hard. Is it a par 4 or a par 5? Super hard. We're just playing them because they're out of order. We'll see what the deal is. Here we go. Hole number 4. What is hole number 4? Hole number 4 is going to be a par 3. This hole right here, there is a rough bump that we can do on this hole, and there is a shot on this hole. I'm not a big fan of a Goliath, but I was watching my buddy Dale Appleby stream one day, and he was using a Goliath on this with a Kingmaker. And there was a spot, and it was working. The deal about this hole I'm gonna have to, we'll just play it by ear. There's a rough bump, you can go straight at it. The deal is that it's like an hourglass in the middle, and it's sloped. So this is one of those holes that you can hit it great to the left and it'll actually end up going great to the right. Or you can hit it great to the right and it'll go great to the left. I'm not a fan of bouncing over. You can either start on that side with backspin, do the rough bump, bump diddy bump. Let's see what my opponent does. So they're snaking it up there. You can see how when they move their ball guide and it's going up through the middle of this, where it's sloped, it really radically changes the tip. That was about a full movement. What's screwed up about Golf Clash is that green looks slightly elevated to me. And it should be on elevation where the green's higher, where you should be taking a little wind off. I'm just gonna do a normal adjustment because I have no idea and I don't want to. This is one of those holes. Let's figure it out. So I'm right at max club with a 3 power ball. So I'm gonna switch to a navigator, and that'll put me in my sniper at minimum club, which is 1-3 per ring. $1-3 per ring, so there's 3-9. That leaves me 5. I'm gonna go about that much. Whatever that was, that looked right. Now we're gonna find out if it was right. Just a bit outside. And that was a slight overpull. Well, I have to go back and look at that because that was a little less than a half. It was probably a third of that ring. If it's 1.3 per ring, what's that, 4? So that would have made it 3, 3-9, and 4 is 4-3. That was pretty close. Close enough. Well, not close enough, but close enough. It could have been a little closer. All right, hole number 5. What is hole number 5? Hole number 5 is a par 4. I really want to practice this hole. I'm going to practice this hole because this hole, every time I come here, I forget how to play it. And I know I'm pretty sure I was using a katana. So I'm gonna practice this hole, because this hole right here, this is a par 4 that we can get an eagle on. And if I don't make it the first shot, hopefully I end up in the drink. So that I can take it, I can learn from what I did, and I can take it again, and I won't have to waste up more than one practice token. This is one of those ones where if you're doing a max overpower hook shot, the epic fail is in the water. And so you might get lucky, and you might actually be able to get it dialed in one hole. And if you use this shot in a tournament, and on the first shot you tank it, you're committed. So pay attention when you're taking the shot, especially in your rounds, because if something goes wrong, you want to be able to make the adjustment and hit it again and get up there, so that you would have, you're getting the birdie to save yourself. I suppose with a big side spin ball, and they have some big side spin balls that are for sale right now. If you could get up there far enough, and you have enough curl, you might be able to get over to the other side. Let's see. I hope they make it. Just getting over that little bit would not be worth the effort, but if you did max with a Apocalypse, you might be able to just get over there. I'm almost positive I was using a katana. If I remember correctly, I'm out here somewhere. There's where I want to end up. There's one. I'm going to go white ring off the sand. Fully extended. Take the wind out. It's 2.1 per ring, so that should be a ring and a third. Max overpower hook. And I got all of it. And let's watch where it lands. I needed to go out farther. At least another ring. And that's unfortunate that I ended up where I ended up. See if my opponent can get in from there. Need to pull back just a little and see if you can get that. It's a difficult wind from this direction. It's a very slight adjustment. Hitting it perfect. Let's see if they got it right. Get in the hole. Let's see if I can get in the hole. Playing with my Spitfire. There's max. There's mid. So I'm pretty damn close to mid club. That is so freaking narrow. It is scary ass narrow. At this distance, it's mid. I'm gonna just do a ring. Hitting it perfect. That rough rump is pretty slim. And I didn't want to set it up so I was going straight at it, because the deal is the fairway got longer on the right hand side. So if I hit a grate to the right, which is very possible with a sand wedge, it would clip the rough right there, and with the backspin it would instantly get stuck. Backspin doesn't start until the ball hits the ground the very first time, and it would just kill it. That's twice in this round I just had to recover, just had to play it just to make sure that I didn't drop a shot off minimum score. So, all right. So now I know where I need to be. So now I'm going to play it. I was white ring off, fully extended from the sand, from the sand. So I'm going to go out. I think I started off. Is my opponent going to play? Come on, Nikki. Hey, bro. You wasted half your turn. Come on. Now, there's several ways to play this. You can lay this shot up back here in the back, and it gives you a long iron in. And the deal is you got to watch where you lay up out there. You want to lay up, and you want to be as far to the left as possible so that you can clear this peninsula and try and come as straight to the hole as you can. You can hit it way up to the front, but you're probably best served if you hit it way up to the front to bring backspin stuff. If you overshoot it, you're in the sand, and it's really tough to get on from there. All right, let's see if we learned anything, or if we end up in the drink. Okay, I was out there. I'm gonna be about a full ring, and maybe 3/4 of a ring. 4-1. It's 2 rings. Who's counting? Did I put some topspin and stuff on here? Hell no. And I got all of it. Well, let's see if I pulled it out enough that it clips the fairway. Rolls out. Too much topspin. So I had max topspin on there, and I could probably take that down at a good 3, 3.5, 4 topspin. Hell, where I'm at, I could probably take it down at least a good 3.5. I like that trajectory coming through. I had a little bit more room on the left-hand side, but to pick up that room on the left-hand side, you definitely have to get that topspin thing worked out. And it's better to screw up to the left than it is to screw up to the right, because the right is agua. No bueno. No bueno. All right, if I hit this perfect, it's going in the hole. Maybe. I really don't like to do this. This is scary as shit right here. Yeah, I'm close enough. It might not be that bad. It's really when you're in the Spitfire is a little bit better than your Nirvana, because it actually has a bunch of topspin. And that was not it. And what I was afraid of there is sometimes, especially with your Nirvana, because it doesn't have as much topspin, if you run all that topspin out, because you can run it out and get it to plane across the green, you never want to do that and start off on the green. You always want to start off on the fringe, so that the first bounce is on the fringe, and then it'll slide like that. But if you start off on the green, the ball guide's kind of lying to you, and it'll get away from you. It'll go really fast. And the reason the Spitfire is not as bad is because it actually has a bunch of topspin. Everybody poo-poos off that little bit of backspin that a Spitfire has, and I can tell you that the little bit of backspin a Spitfire has is a lot of backspin. We gave it the old eagle try. I think we got this all figured out, though. one practice round, one qualifying round, and like I think for the next 2 rounds, that hole is going to be, now headwind will be a situation, and it may be one of those situations where we have to bring out a bigger power ball in order to combat the headwind. So if we have like a 4 or 5 mile an hour headwind, we may have to bring out a power, but that's going to change our landing zone. And so it may take a shot or two to get that down. So that hole right there is definitely a hole that's worth spending a practice token on to see what the wind's like. Faux show. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. Got to go talk to a man about a horse. All right. Where are we? We're on hole number 6. Hole number 6. I have no idea what hole number 6 is. What is hole number 6? Hole number 6. This is the hole. This is the par 5. This hole here is definitely worth practicing one time just to make sure. So I'm gonna make sure I have the stuff. I'm gonna have a bag set up for this. And there was one of those holes in there that I should have used this bag, and I need an extra mile. And in that particular situation, if we were going against headwind, this bag here would probably be better. Just because of the rod distance. I only used about 4 or 5 topspin on that one par 4 to get the eagle. Or the par 5. And that bag might work for that. That bag might work for this one. No. Ooh. Haven't seen a hole yet where a big topper comes into play. I'm not so sure that this Apocalypse might not work bad on this hole. Let me take several bags here, just in case. I definitely want to take a big dog. And nothing else matters. I mean, if I'm hitting with any other club, it doesn't matter. It's one of those 2 bags. Let's see if I can do it with an Apocalypse, see what that looks like. And tighten. It might help just for the pure distance. Seems like it was very little topspin. Like I wasn't putting all the topspin on it. Just enough to get over to the other side. Because you can overhit this super easy. The deal is, there's a flag post out there is where I'm going to start my max overpower hook. And I'm going to take the wind out from that spot once we get to that. If I can get to this is absolutely positively one freaking shot at a time. And I should practice it first. Should we practice it first? Let's practice it first. This might be another hole we practice. Because wind will play a big deal on the drive here. Because you can help yourself out by bringing a bigger power ball. But the bigger power ball is once again going to throw you off on the second shot. So any change that you make other than just making sure that you can make the adjustment. The Apocalypse might work better on the drive as it gets me that raw distance. That's something new. I have to remember that Apocalypse has more raw distance than the extra mile because I haven't had it for that long. I've had it for a while, but the deal is I played for years and years and years with an extra mile. Now they're trying for a rough bump. Hit it perfect. See if they can catch that. That'll be a good shot if they can catch it from there. Yes. Very nice. Very nice. That's not going to work for me. 3.6. I'm just thinking as I'm doing the thing here. Sorry, I'm being quiet. Did he leave? Hitting it perfect. And I'm basically trying the same thing. And that's even worse. I didn't think we were bringing out a big ball here. But having a little bit of headwind is definitely different. If with tailwind, I know you can get over to the other side so that you can actually miss that rough, and then it's really all about topspin. And I was hitting it up towards the top where it was a little bit, I had to go farther in order to clear it. I was trying to stay away from that sand. Nice effort. Nice effort. Now I'm going to have to scramble here because I don't even know if I can make the other side. Yeah, I can. All right. See that flagpole right there? That flagpole. I'm going to go just outside of that flagpole just a little. It's 2 per ring. I think it's actually 1/8, so there's 3/6. See if we can get the hop over. Missed it. Didn't go out far enough. Need to go out a full ring set on the other side of that flagpole. I knew that flagpole played a part in it. Now I remember. This is a hole you can up and down. You can, if you can get onto that, if you can even limp onto that pad, you can get, especially if you can limp over there consistent so that you can adjust how much topspin to put on that max overpower hook shot with the big dog. Close. This is a great hole to have in tournaments because this hole really is, you do have a serious chance at it. Where am I at in my club? There's max. There's mid. What about that? I hate this. I hate this range. This is like the 3 per ring range. And I'm going to overpull it because of that wind. So there's 4 or 5. I'm going to overpull just a bit. Hit it 17, 2 rings, great to the left. See if it had distance. I would have been short. I'll make a note in my mental inventory since we're playing these holes, what the deal is on that. But that shot from out there is the shot. And it's all really figuring it out. Like once you, the drive shot, you get what you get over on the drive shot, and then you just have to figure out what you need to put on the ball on the other side. So like if you're getting into an area that's safe, that's a good area. Hole number 6. Did we actually play that? We didn't play that, so I still have a shot at it. Ah, I got caught up in the moment. So I still have a shot at it. So let's see what I learned there. Did I have the right stuff? I think I had the right stuff. Let's see if we're getting more, what kind of headwind we're getting. And it's almost exactly the same. Excellent. 2-5. There's 2-1, 2-5. Hit a 1 ring great to the right. That's not a shot you really want to hit great to the right. Great to the left works better. If you clear it, great to the right, you run out of fairway down here. It seems like this drive shot's playing a little different. Like they've lengthened it just a little. But I could be wrong. I know that you can set that up. You can see where the range down there if you're in that narrow spot in the middle. Especially with the wind blowing like it is, that if you make a wrong adjustment, you're still hitting the rough and rolling out. But you can miss that rough and get way over to the other side. All right, let's see. Where are we at? Okay, where is that little sign? There's the little sign. I'm going to be a full ring set off. I'm going to do 5 topspin. And that might be too much. Let's see if I can get the trajectory right. I think it's 1/8 per ring, so 2 rings would be 3/6. Let's see if I pulled it out far enough to catch the fairway right here. And then see if it still has enough. There was one more bounce. That bounce would have put me up on the fringe. So I need to go out probably another. I have all of the fairway on the other side and probably one more topspin. So from where I was, probably another 2 or 3 rings. Probably 2 rings would be perfect. Take the wind out. That'll at least give you a place to start. Got a serious shot from here though. So there's max, there's mid. I'm getting into mid club. It's like 2.4 per ring, so it's like a ring. And a little. Let's see where that actually moved it on the right to the outside edge of the cup. And normally I would have counted that as from this distance about. We'll find out, because if wind wasn't a factor, that'll miss on the left-hand side. If wind was a factor, it'll roll right in. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Normally, when I think of half the cup as 4 miles per hour. So from where I was, that was pretty close to 3. I was still on the inside of the cup. If the edge of the cup is 4 miles per hour, that's about where I would have moved it at that distance. And anything closer than that, that's absolutely. But that right there was eking towards anything. When you start to get past halfway, then it becomes a little bit, you have to adjust for it. At max, I used the max numbers. See if they can get in the hole. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. In the hole. Nice. Crowd goes wild. Crowd goes wild. Double eagles. That's another hole. There's a couple holes in here that are going to be holes that people are going to have problems with. I mean, you're going to have to get those holes. Anybody who doesn't pick up those holes that's if they were on one of those days, they could probably pick them up most of the time. But if they fail on those holes, you're going to be behind for sure. All right, hole number 7. What is hole 7? This is a par 3, and there's a rough bump on this, and I absolutely do not like doing the bounce over the lake. to get over to the other side, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Especially if you're playing this from pro. In a headwind, you might have to, I'm just going to play it. I'm going to play with zero, I'm just going to play with a normal wind adjustment because I don't know. It seems like we were doing some adjustment on this, but that was on a different tournament. So I'm just going to play it just with the normal numbers just so I can get that on video. Let's see where we're at. That's a good wind for us. Where's mid club? There's min. There's max. So if I swap down to a navigator, that's min, that's max, and mid club. I'm using a big dog. Let's switch bags. Let's switch that out to a I don't have time to make an adjustment. I'm running out of time. Hitting it perfect, so I eyeballed it. So you do have to hit into that upper rough. I was trying to hit it too far back. What kind of deal was that? What kind of rookie ass move was that? Dicking around trying to remember how to play a hole. In a tournament, in a qualifying round no less. What are you doing? The guy carrying my clothes has been drinking all day, so he's like the Happy Gilmore bum. Let's see if my opponent makes an actual wind adjustment. And that looks like about 5.2, so that was a 100% adjustment with a 0 Powerball. I don't like the right hand curl, but maybe they have to because they don't have any curl. Or they don't have any side spin, excuse me. No dice. El Prefecto. Okay. Seems like I really haven't picked up, I don't think I've picked up any shots. I think there's several holes in this that are really hard to get the shot on. And I think I've picked up a couple of those. I haven't really been paying attention to my score. I've just been playing. When I was shooting video all the time, I filmed every second I played, I was filming, and just going out and playing. Like, what the heck is that? There's like no plan, no notes, no nothing, just going out and just like playing the holes. Hole number 8. What hole is this? All right, this hole right here. There's several ways to do this hole, depending on which way the wind's blowing. I like to do, there is a shot to try and get on the green, but there is a shot that you can take and you end up with a short iron shot. There's a shot that you can take from over here where you got a straight up shot. You can come over to this island, but I actually don't like how it interacts with the green from this island. It seems like it's more downhill, and I would rather from over here you're going a little more uphill. And I just have an easier time. I like holes where you're shooting up the hill. And the way we were trying to get on here in one was with an Apocalypse, and we were doing, I can't remember if we were doing a max overpower hook or if we were just trying to do a max overpower shot. But you needed all the curl. I'm gonna try it. I got nothing to lose. Let's make sure we got an Apocalypse bag. I do have an Apocalypse bag, and I would rather take, I'm not gonna need anything. Anything I need should be below that. And I'm going to take a Kingmaker. have to buy some. Select. Let's get one of them chests rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Hole number 8. All right. I know that if you just shoot it up there, you give yourself a super consistent over and over and over and over again shot where if you hit it perfect, it goes in the hole. If you hit it perfect, it goes in the hole. But there is a way to get on a 1. The last time I played this hole, we were in a tournament and we were playing to try and get on a 1, and I had succeeded. It was like a 50-50. So it all boiled down to whether or not you can make this shot out here if you can hit 50 or perfect 50% of the time. I've lost my perfect stroke. I used to be able to hit perfect. Like you get into a perfect rhythm and you like, it seemed like it just jumped into the slot. Which way is the wind blowing? I'm going to try it right from the center. That puts me at rest at like half my blue ring. Should be somewhere in that neighborhood. A little teeny bit of side wind. Hit it 2 rings great on the outside. 2 rings great to the left. And that'll put me in the sand. Hoo-hoo. Wow, got a little lucky on that. I was trying to, you can see to the right of me, that's the zone. So like that was 2 rings great to the left, 2 rings great to the right is actually, you're getting into the deep part of the rough, and a 2 ring great to the right, you might actually, but there's a perfect that's in there where you can actually end up in trouble where the bounces hit right, where you can go too far. Close. Nice shot. Nice shot. Kelly had a plan. Yeah, I'm in that range. I'm about halfway out. And I hit 1 ring great to the right. Did it go in? Yes. Woo! Eagle. That's what I'm talking about. I have a lot better success at those types of chips than the chip from the other side. I have a lot of success in the chips from the other side, but I'd much rather take that shot. Excellent. Excellent. All right, where are we at? Man, people are shooting some awesome rounds. And one of these holes, I have to go back and look at some of them. They will probably be out of order. I just go look at some of the holes. There's one of these holes in here, maybe the first par 4. I think there's a couple of the ones that we have to pick up that I probably missed. I have to go look at some of those holes. Hole number 9. What is hole number 9? All right, this is another tough ass hole to get an eagle on. Let's go look at this hole. Let's give this hole just a little bit of respect. I think this is probably hole number 9. Nope. And that hole there definitely needs a little respect. 3. Am I looking at that hole correctly? Oh, we're on Glen Monarch. Are we on Glen Monarch? That is definitely not the hole. That is not the hole either. That hole right there I missed. And that hole is definitely... I was trying to remember which hole that was. Hole number 8. This is one of those old courses that has 2 par 5s. Some of them have 2 par 3s. All right. Now, I know for a fact that there is a max overpower hook shot that you can do here at pretty much every, I'm not sure in Masters, but I know from the pro and the expertise. And more likely than not, you'll end up in this rough, and that's fine. If you have a Nirvana in your bag, you're in long iron range, so it's one bounce, you got some top spin, you can run it up on the green, you get an easy eagle, and you're, hey, who cares if you end up out here? I mean, more power to you, but it doesn't matter as long as you don't end up in the drink. If you're not doing that shot, just trying to get over into this area, and it doesn't take a lot of top spin. Like 2 or 3. I think 3 might be too much. I'm going to use an Apocalypse because it's got more curl. And I think for the second shot, I mean, I got to respect this hole. This, in my opinion, this hole blows for trying to get an Albie. And so, I'm sure that there's somebody out there that goes, dude, there's an Albie shot on this hole. But the whole deal is that there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to get the eagle. This is a hole that people can fail on. And I want to make sure that whatever I do, I'm doing ironclad. So at least to start off with, I'm going to bring a big dog. And I'm going to bring the king of balls. The Titan. That's right. That's right. You heard me. If you can't get it done with a Titan, you can't get it done. They say it can't be done. What they mean is they can't do it. Here we go. See if my opponent can get over there. I have ended up in the fairway on the max overpower hook shot, but I've ended up in that rough a lot more, and that's fine. Even if you're in this last sand trap, you might still be fine with a Spitfire. Maybe. What in the hell is my opponent doing? Okay, they're trying the max overpower hook, and they had their white ring on the transition between the fairway and the first cut of the rough. You got to count for the wind. So, and there did a half. Don't ever. In my opinion, you should never. Okay, the whole idea of doing a max overpower hook shot is that you only have one spot that you have to hit. You just need to get as deep in that hole as possible. And now trying to do a max overpower hook shot and adjust how much hook to put on it. Are you smoking crack? I'm going to put, oh man, 3 just seems like too much. 3. It's 1.5 per ring, so it's a little over. Max curl. Hitting it perfect. Now, did I put too much curl on it and it'll clip the rough on the other side, or will it clear? Cleared. And it hit the slick. And you cannot get on from there. That 3 topspin felt like it was too much. But it did slide. I might be able to get pretty close though. Give myself a really good look at it with my wedge. This wind is not. For me, it's going to be more side. Are they just going to take their sweet time? Yep. Hit it great to the left. And they made it into the rough. From the rough to the rough. We do not want to do that. We want to take the best shot that we can, but if I can bridge the gap over to the other side, which I might be able to because I've got a Spitfire and it's got tons of topspin. The question is, do I have enough room against my red line to make it over? Okay, 3-5. It should be, I'm going to do a little bit of an over pull, and I'm going to just do a 2-ring pull. I'm going to put some curl to bring it back to the fairway. And I hit it 7,000 rings great to the left, and I'm back in the rough. I'm back in the sand. From the sand to the sand. This is the age, this is the sign of rookiness right here. This is the sign of no practice. So that's the thing, is there's a bunch of people that play this game that are playing it exactly like I'm playing it right now, where they're just like casually playing. They just jump on and they just play around. They've played for a long time. They know how to play. And there's a bunch of new people that are out there that are in the same thing, where they put out X amount of effort, and then they're all like pissed off about it, like, that's all bullshit. It's like, hey dude, like, guys don't make mistakes like that. Every shot is in the fairway. Every shot is a setup shot for the shot that's going towards the cup. And so these types of mistakes, from the rough to the rough to the rough. Now I'm going to break the train here. I'm going to go from the rough, from the sand to the sand, into the hole, into the cup. There's max. There's mid. So I'm right at about mid club. I'm going to do 1 backspin. I'm going to put that side spin on it so I can get the hell away from that sand trap. Three. There's 3-3. Hit it 2 rings great to the left. And I hit that little hill and it pushed me back to the right. Close. Not quite enough distance. So as I was going against that headwind, that tail was going, where it was heading was going right into the cup, so I was trying to bounce it into the cup. I'm working on my Spitfire because I know when the Spitfire gets higher level, I think it gets ball guide. Right now it could use a little ball guide. It's got great topspin. In the hole. Yeah, this is definitely a hole we got to get eagle on. So there's at least 2 or 3 holes in here that we've got to pick up a shot. And I'm sure that I dropped one. I got a birdie on that hole. That's definitely a hole we got to get an eagle on. Definitely. It's a draw. We'll see if that qualifies. Who's at the top? Looks like there's at least a -14, -15 at the top, and I believe it. And I don't think that's like out of the realm, because I know in one of the Glen Monarch in the 9-hole cups, I think I have a 9-hole cup win at Glen Monarch. I think one of these is at Glen Monarch, and it seemed like in that tournament it was a 15 or a 16 to get to the top. So let's see where I drop some holes. Now these are out of order. Okay, this one right here, we have a serious chance for hole in one here. This is the hole where we've got a serious chance for the rough bump to get it in there. But where we're setting it up, you can set it up a little bit different. So normally, if I remember, it takes so little adjustment, but you can move it over here to the side a little bit more, and then you have to put a little bit more topspin on it, a little bit more side spin in order to bring it back to the cup, but you can do that to get away from the sand. So if you're trying to pull it, and the way the wind's blowing is try and give yourself as much room out here, and you may have to change it. You may not be able to come into this hole and go, hey, I'm going to do a 1 topspin, half a side spin, or just a little adjustment. You may have to play it by ear based off the wind. That rough bump is in my opinion, the only way I'm going to play this hole. Hole number 2. Now, I will tell you, I came out on this hole one day with Hammer and Hank, and me and him were playing around, and I got over here with a rose ball, so it's a power 5 ball, and I caught this and was able to, with an extra mile 9 and all of its topspin, bleed through. And I actually hit it several times, and one time I did overshoot it. But I was able to get up on the green, or right off the green, and won. And Hank was doing another shot. I think I was doing a max overpower hook shot, and he was doing this shot right here. And we were both able to get on. But there is a shot that you can do where you're bouncing from here to get up into this. And I do believe that it was minus 10%. It was a minus number. We were taking a little bit of wind off on the shot to the cup. And you're deep into your short iron. Excellent chance for eagle. Excellent chance. This par 5 right here is the one. So like what I was doing right there was using this strip, and if you're down in this area from the tee box direction, this being this right here, this area being probably the narrowest spot. And as you work around the corner from the tee box perspective coming at it, I'd like to see where the tee box is at. So we got the tee box coming at us, so we're pretty much along this line. And we're along this line. So if you're in the middle of your shot being in this area, but the shallowest spot being a little bit lower, but if you come in a little hot on the shallow spot, you can run out of fairway and get into this rough, because the rough runs to the left. So if you can stay out in the middle, you're giving yourself, on that trajectory, you're giving yourself a deep area on the other side. But you can play with it the way that the wind was blowing today. It was blowing like this, so it was blowing along this plane, and that's where the rough's at. So if you make a bad adjustment, or and the cool thing about that is that you can do that. The reason that I started up here on the first shot is because if you're going against headwind, if you have any kind of headwind, the whole thing that was here was, you had to take some topspin off in order to get that second bounce at max overpower to hit here. And if you hit it 3 rings great to the left or the right, it's still going to hit along that plane. But when you're going against a headwind or a tailwind, if you get that wrong, even if you make a good wind adjustment, if you get that wrong, then you can end up in epic trouble. But you can start off over on this side, and you're on the other side of it, so you've kind of taken the sand trap out of play, and you've given yourself a deeper area of rough. So if you over pulled it, if it was headwind and it forces you back a little bit, you still may bounce out of the rough and end up short down here. Or if it carries a little bit farther, the rough is deeper over here, it takes longer to get out of it, so you still might be okay. But it does, if you're playing with any kind of wind that's going side, where it's going along this plane, I'm definitely going to play out here, because you got a really good shot and you'll get more distance. But you should be able to take that first shot to get you somewhere onto this island, and then there is a flagpole right there. And so the first time I was going right at it, and I clipped over here. So then I moved it out 5 rings. So my center point was here. So my white ring was up against the and I landed where I clipped the rough up here in this area. So I still have all of the fairway on the left hand side, so I can pull it this way probably another 5 rings, and then I'll clip the rough over here. So I'm going to bring it in where I'm 5 rings off of that post, and then I'm going to go out another eyeball, ring and a half, 2 rings, and that should put me dead center in the middle. Then it's all I have to do is work on topspin. And I think on that particular shot I had about 5 topspin, and it probably needed 6. But if you catch it right, it does have a backboard here, and if you overshoot it, it will come back down. It does kind of suck to have to take the shot from the top because it's way the hell downhill to the cup, and it is kind of a sucky shot, but this is definitely a hole that we should be able to get eagle on every single time we play it from Ricky. This is another super eagleable hole. And so the shot that I did with the Apocalypse and a power 3 ball, I was set up in the center of this fairway, and I was able to get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, bounce number 3 going over, clip the rough, and bled me out, and was able to just clear that. If you brought out a bigger power ball so that you could get on the other side of this peninsula where you can access this length, unfortunately, when you're in that area, if you're trying to, so like my red line, I was like right here. I was like right in this area. I couldn't get past this. But if you can get past it and get up into some of this depth right here, you can kind of clear that sand. So you're dealing more with this rough. And then conversely, up here the rough gets deeper the farther you go to the right. So the farther you end up to the right, the farther your ball is going to have to go before it clears the rough. And I just barely cleared the rough, so there's a pretty narrow window down here. I'd really like to come through where I take the sand out of play and come right through this window right here. And I think what happened to me last time was I did get caught up in this rough. I was over quite a few times, but I think it was like 50-50. About half the time I was over, and half the time I was either caught up in the rough or stuck in the sand or some shit happened. But I'm not sure. If you hit perfect all the time, I used to be able to hit perfect all the time, and this shot from out here going in is money. I mean, it is like, if you like your short iron and you like minimum short iron, that this is a shot for you. Perfect shot. And you can play this shot out here if you draw the arc, and this is your shot arc. If the wind is blowing like this to the cup, then you want your ball to be out here so that the wind's going with you when you're shooting the shot in. If the wind's going like this, then you want to be right here. If the wind's going like this, you want to be on this axis. If the wind's blowing from this direction and you're getting a pure wind to the cup out in this area, it might not be a bad idea to hit over here. I don't really like the way that this goes to the cup, but that's just a personal preference. But hitting against the side wind can be a little bit difficult, but you can watch the wind and pick the spot that'll help you so you got the wind going behind you. I'm going to try and get on in one. That's personal preference. I think that even if I was in the rough or the sand from that close up with a Spitfire and a Nirvana, that I have a pretty damn good shot of getting it in the hole. Hole number 5. This is another great par 3 for hole 1. And there's a bunch of different ways you can play it. You can play it on the green. You can play it from the rough. You can play it... I'll have to go back and watch the video from here, but it seems like I used to pull it over and I had like a white ring off. But there is a shot that you can take from this with a Goliath and a Kingmaker that takes very little adjustment. Like you set it up where your white ring's off or your blue ring's on this spot, and once you get it in that spot, you make a very slight adjustment, and then it's all about wind. So if you like a Goliath, there is a great shot from here. But I think we have a great shot on that hole for a hole 1. That's a hole that they have all the time in the Golden Shot. This is another par 3 where we have a great shot at hole 1. And this one, what happened to me on the round was I was trying to hit from the second cut of the rough, and you got to hit up here from this first cut of the rough, and it's pretty narrow. Or I actually think I was hitting from the third cut of the rough, and you need to be up and into the second or the first and trying to do the rough bump. But you can come at this with backspin, and you can try and go straight at the cup. And I think you can come at it with your sniper either way. You can do the rough bump or you can do the backspin. I think it has just enough. I think. Maybe. I'm going to do the rough bump. I like the rough bump on this hole. I've been doing that shot for a long time. I just forgot it. And this hole right here, I'm going to have to work on it. I'm going to have to go back and watch the video so I can write the numbers down. And what I think I was the first time we went through and we practiced, I was white ring off the transition between the sand and the fairway or the rough. And I clipped. I was too far in, and I clipped out in this area and ended up over here on the other side in the sand. So the next time through, I came through and I was about 1.5 rings away from the sand, white ring off, full ring set off. So what I want to do is go back and watch the video, and what transition I'm looking for here is I'm looking for somewhere out here in this band. This is the first cut of the rough, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, and I'm looking for where one of my rings is interacting. Maybe it's interacting out here, or maybe it's interacting here, or wherever it is, so that I can use that as my reference point. And I put on all of the topspin. It was the first time you go out there, just put it all on there and see what's possible. And I needed to take off about 3.5, maybe more, maybe a little less. But we can definitely get the eagle on this hole every single time. Because where I found myself, once I get the shot worked out, where I find myself is in this area. And part of the thing is that your trajectory coming in, when you're coming across, you're kind of coming along on the same plane as this area right here. So it's easy. You want to be to the left of that. Because any error on your part, like if you didn't catch it all, you can slide off of this. So where you'll find yourself ending up a lot is on this side right here. And I personally would prefer to be off the green or on the fringe right here and chipping it up, or even over in this area chipping it up. But the one thing about this side over here is you run out of fairway. Whereas if you can land on the green, it can run all the way to the back of the green and you have all this extra distance. But that's definitely a hole that I'm going to be... I will tell you that I've played this hole in tournaments where this hole right here caused me problems. And I've played in tournaments that... these are the type of par fours that if there is a way to get an eagle every time and you can execute, you've got to do that shot. There's going to be too many people that are going to come here and do that shot and get an eagle every time. No doubt about it. And this is another hole. This par 5 right here, that I know that this hole 9, so this is the hole that I failed on. I got into the sand. I put too much... I do believe I put too much topspin on it. I think it should have been 2 topspin, not 3. It's just very little. I've taken that shot a lot of times with an extra mile, and you get a little more ball guide, so it's easier to tell. But you don't get as much to the left because it doesn't have as much curl. But I did get a slide at the end, and ending up in that sand was disappointing. I really wanted to see where I was at in distance, because I think with the Apocalypse and the extra distance that I can pick up with the curl bringing me in this direction. With the extra mile, I'm up in this area, somewhere along the top up here. But with the Apocalypse, you can get more around the bend that a sniper might not work. But I don't want to... I'm going to bring my big dog until I can find out what that shot is. But we have to get an eagle on this. I mean, there's just no two ways around it. And this hole right here, we have to get an eagle on this hole. And I brought the wrong stuff. I brought the right driver. If you've got an extra mile 9 and you've got that extra topspin, you can do that shot. If you don't, you probably need an APOC 5. You might be able to get it done with an extra mile 4, or excuse me, 8. You might have to up it to a 4 power ball. What's up, baby?
And I need your cake.
Okay.
You want me to fix it for you?
Sure.
Want whipped cream on it?
Sure. I'll come in the house. I'll be in there in like 10 minutes. Getting out to this getting somewhere onto this tip there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. I'm trying to do the second bounce rough bump off of this area. The risky thing here is if the wind's blowing in a direction and I make a bad wind adjustment or I hit it great, I can catch this fairway and it can go for a wild ride. Because I really need that rough to bleed it out, because it's going not all the way to the end, but I'm getting pretty good distance towards the end. Yup. Definitely have to get an eagle on that hole. So, man, these two par fives, we have to get eagles. Nothing's changed there. We've got to get this hole right here. So we're at 12. This hole we have to get an eagle on every time. That's 13. We got great opportunities on all three of the par threes. And this par four, we need to get an eagle every time. So that's minus 14. We need to get the eagle on that hole. All three of those par fives are tough. We need to get an eagle on this hole. I mean, and this hole right here of the par fours is probably the toughest. But once again, you can get up there. If you bring out a big enough power ball, you can get over here. And if you've got the topspin, you could try and get over. I'm going to try that shot. I'm going to go back and try that shot. And I will tell you that I know when we were playing that it's very wind dependent. So when we had headwind, we could just barely make it over there. We needed the tailwind or some kind of helpful wind to help us along. And that headwind was really killing it. And so it may not be one of those shots that we could use every round. But if we get in a round where we've got some tailwind, we could pull that out of the bag and drop an eagle. That would be awesome. So we're at minus 14 just to keep up with the Joneses. So seeing minus 15 up at the top, minus 16s, I'm not going to be surprised as the week goes on, because these holes are absolutely, every single one of these holes is makeable. And I think of the par threes, this one right here is definitely makeable. All right, that was a qualifying, practice, scouting report, the whole bit, all in one. Thanks for watching.